the congressional hearings concerning foreign, that is, Chinese, donations to the American political parties in the last election. In the past 10 days, his name had certainly been mentioned numerous times in those hearings. Alas, Barnes had left no record of where he hid the recorder. He had been shot in the head the night after he completed the installation. Carmelini was certain Barnes would have used a recorder, not a remote transmitter, which would have been too easy to detect and find. One reason he was certain was that he had known Barnes, a quiet, careful, colorless technician who had gone through the CIA tradecraft course with Carmelini. Who would have suspected that Barnes would be the first of that class to die in the line of duty? The mics. Harold ostensibly spent 4 hours on the television satellite dish system, a system he should have been able to install in 2. If he followed normal practice, he would have hardwired at least 2 tiny microphones, one for each track of the recorder. The chandelier over the mahogany desk caught Tommy's eye. Ornate, with several dozen small bulbs, it would attract Harold Barnes like sugar attracts a fly. Carmelini studied the chain that held the chandelier. There was a wire running down it. No, 2 wires. One black wire and the other smaller, carefully wound around the chain. Barnes could have put a mic in the chandelier, another anywhere in the room, maybe the desk or over by the reading area, and hidden the recorder behind some books, perhaps on the top shelf. Surely there were tomes that didn't get removed from the shelves once a decade. Carmelini stepped to the nearest bookcase, studied the spines of the books that filled the thing. Not a flake of dust. A diligent maid would not be good. So. He pulled a chair over under the chandelier, then stood on it. Aha, there it was, taped in the junction of the main arms of the chandelier. With the bulbs of the chandelier burning brightly, the tiny recorder would have been almost impossible to see from the floor. Carmelini reached. In seconds he had the 2 reels out. Maybe 3/4 of the tape had been used, about 6 hours' worth. Back on the floor, he was tempted to put the reels into his pocket, then thought better of it. He pulled up a trouser leg and carefully shoved them down into one sock. He had a new tape in his other sock, but with China Bob dead, the recorder seemed superfluous. Should he cut the wires and remove the device? How much time did he have? If China Bob Chan killed Harold Barnes, why was the recorder still there? Was he waiting for someone to come for the tape? Suddenly aware that time was fleeing, Tommy Carmelini pushed the chair back to its former position. He vigorously rubbed the upholstered seat of the chair to remove any marks his shoes had made. As he straightened, he heard a noise. It seemed to come from the secretary's office. When he stepped in that direction, the light in the smaller office came on. Carmelini moved swiftly and flattened against the wall. The door to the secretary's office was to his right. He listened intently for footsteps. Carmelini desperately wanted to avoid being caught in this room with a dead man on the floor and a tape in his sock. True, he had diplomatic immunity as the assistant agricultural officer at the consulate, but the publicity and hullabaloo of an arrest and interrogation, not to mention expulsion from the country, would not be career-enhancing. He heard the scrape of a chair being moved. Coiled, ready to lash out if anyone came through the door, he approached it, staying back far enough that he remained away from the glare of the light. Someone was sitting behind the secretary's desk. Someone small. My God, it was a kid. A boy, perhaps 10 or 12. Carmelini stepped back so he would be out of sight if the youngster glanced his way.